Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Warrior, The Blood and the Shit. And this has been my favorite episode out of all of them so far with Warrior. It mainly has to deal with how self-contained it is, going for a very Hateful Eight kind of vibe, where most of the action takes place in this out-of-the-way saloon. And I just love what we were able to see with Assam and Young Jun in this episode, because we start off and we see that they're in this carriage with a couple, this one kind of cowboy dude, and a padre. And of course, everybody really doesn't care about what's going on. They've been sent out to Nevada to collect a corpse to send back home to China. And of course, Young Jun doesn't give a crap. Assam is like, well, sacred kind of duty, gotta do what we gotta do. The wife of the couple being a bitch, and same with the cowboy dude. The padre's like, hey, they're people too. Screw that. And Assam is speaking in like Cantonese, so he hasn't used his English yet in this episode. That was a kind of cool reveal that we see that Young Jun has to contest with. But they stop in this out-of-way place as the driver's like, hey, the horses are tired. We have to stop here. We'll come back and continue on in the morning to San Francisco. He's like, all right, fine. Everybody kind of sets themselves up. The cowboy dude wants to know if there's any beds or whatnot. And the bartender lady's like, hey, they only come with you. You can only get a bed with a whore. And they've only got two whores. One of them is native and one of them's not. And of course, the cowboy dude's like, I don't want the native one. And goes and kicks the one dude out to take the other whore. But of course, Young Jun is eyeing the native whore and like, hey, that'll be pretty good. And before that starts coming up, we see that there's a Chinese guy who's also cooking and brings him over drunken chicken and stuff like that, and they start kind of conversing. And we get some more kind of background that Assam recognized his accent and that they lived kind of close together. Well, they didn't know each other, but where they both grew up was pretty close together. And we get from Young Jun that he's a Chinaman that's never been to China. And talking about how he really wouldn't be accepted in either place, China or America. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of interesting to kind of dig into that. And everybody else kind of, they're trying to kind of figure out what's going on. We see that, let's see here. Well, the cowboy dude comes down and he's pretty much done getting a drink and everything. He starts some shit with Young Jun, but before anything goes down, he gets shot in the head. And we see that the place is getting robbed and that the driver was in on it. And they wanted what was in the coffin, but Assam and Young Jun are like, screw that shit. That ain't gonna happen. And Young Jun viciously takes out this one dude, while Assam just takes out these other guys. He like kicks one thing into another dude and does this knee maneuver to take out and kill another. But the guy, who we learn later is Harlan French, books out of it. He's the leader, and everybody's freaking out, trying to figure out what to do. We see that part of it was that Young Jun had gone together with the native whore, and of course the cowboy dude was trying to mess around with him on that. And everybody's just trying to figure out what's going on. Well, Assam opens up the coffin and gets around into the corpse and finds out that there's gold in there. Now this will become important probably later when they get back to Chinatown, but that means that somebody tipped them off Harlan French's group to this gold that they were smuggling, and that's going to present some problems later. And it wasn't Assam and it wasn't Young Jun, so okay. Now, Assam and Young Jun were thinking about just booking out, but of course the proprietor of the place, because we learned that the Chinese guy is the proprietor, he's with the bartender woman who knows about French's gang and everything, and they run it as a couple, and he's like, hey, none of us are going to survive this, so they come up with a plan to take them out when they come back in. So, of course, they set up everything. The Harlem French dude comes back in, and we get one hell of a great action scene. Because at first we see Assam sitting like Bruce Lee on the coffin and pretty much doing his best. And Harlan is the kind of man that thinks that his power is in the tools that he carries. Assam knows that has the power in himself, that he is the weapon, and to see that he's trying to pretty much intimidate him with like his pistol and everything, and then all hell breaks loose, and it's one of my favorite action scenes in this because it's the best of both worlds of kung fu and old Wild West shootout. This episode really brings home the point of this being a Western kung fu show, and it just works. I mean, I don't mind nice intricate plots and character development, but this is what I'm watching this show for. If I had shown this to someone as a first episode, they'd be like, okay, that I get. I'm like, mm-hmm. So, pretty much tells him that he better like leave before he has to kill him, and then rips the dude's throat out and just starts fucking going to town. It was awesome. And I was like, oh my god, the effects for the throat rip were just insane. And he just starts fucking taking out these guys with guns because you would think that if you got a gun, you want to be as far back from someone as possible, but Assam just like freaking gets in close and understands how to utilize his enemies' weaknesses against them. And we see, of course, the couple are getting in on it with the wife taking out one dude. We get the proprietor taking out some other ones, but Assam's the one that's got the most intricate body count at this point because he starts going in. He like breaks this one dude's hand crazily, snaps this one dude's neck. Young June uses 2 pistols to pretty much double execute these guys because he'd taken the dead cowboy's gun belt and everything. He then has this fight scene with this big ass dude, and he's trying to use his knives, but he's not able to get in enough or do enough damage to kind of break his hold. But the native whore who had left, her name, as we finally got, was let me see, one Kea. That was another thing throughout this episode. Half of these people were just introduced, and I'm like, what's your name? And we finally got it because Young June, she was leaving and wanted him to come with her, and he gave her some gold. I'm like, gotta watch out for that. But she came to the rescue and brutally slit this dude's throat, but they were able to get out and take everybody out. And we get to the next morning, and they're pretty much saddling up 2 horses to leave, and they have a nice moment with the proprietor. He's like, I'd tell you to come back, but I kind of really don't want you to. And then we see Assam putting on a cowboy hat and Young June and just acting like the typical cowboys. Young June, of course, tipping his hat and everything. And they ride off into the sunset on their horses. And I just liked, now granted, there could have been a little bit more done for the build-up, but the second half where the action and everything just starts to ramp up really kind of makes up for it, because I'm like, I don't care about these guys, but we got more of a focus on Assam and Young June throughout this, as of course when they were coming up with the plans, Assam had to reveal that he knew English, and of course he tells Young June about his American grandfather, showing the trust growing between them, and Young June saying, I could have left here, but I kind of want to, I've never had a brother or whatnot, and I kind of want to be the kind of brother that would scrap with my brother. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I kind of like how they're building up their relationship and showing that Young June isn't really that, I mean, he does horrible things, but yet we see that he's kind of doing it to protect the people that he cares about. And it's more kind of like, we're shown kind of that he is supposed to kind of enjoy this, but I don't really think he enjoys visiting that much violence on people, because he cared about Assam when he was getting beat by Father June, and he didn't like that his father had given him twice as bad not to show favoritism. So I kind of like that their bond was the centerpiece of this, and that meant that other characters were pretty much just there to help facilitate the plot. I can deal with that, and also facilitate them kicking ass, taking names, and being fucking kung fu cowboys. I will gladly take that because that's what I signed up for with this show. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.